Hello, how are you? So in this video, which will conclude our module on the Epic of Gilgamesh, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the end of the journey. Gilgamesh goes on his last and greatest quest in this section of the epic, which essentially is his quest for immortality. So after the death of his friend Enkidu, he grieves very fiercely for Enkidu, and he gets obsessed with this idea because he's lost his friend that the same thing will not happen to him, that he wants to discover how he can live forever. Now, Gilgamesh has been obsessed with immortality before this, but it was more immortality symbolically. How can his name live on forever? But now he's obsessed with this idea of whether it can be possible to not only live forever in name, but to live forever in flesh and blood as well. So that's going to bring us to our next tablets. And so Gilgamesh's last quest takes him to the land behind the sun. It's just as the name implies, it's a very, very distant place, and he must pass through many obstacles in order to get there. Now, what he believes is that once he can make it to the land behind the sun, he's going to get those answers to his quest. He's going to be able to find the answer to the question of how to live forever. Right, and got a little bit ahead of myself there. So one of the obstacles that presents itself in these tablets is that Gilgamesh must pass through the Scorpion Kings who guard Masham. And in this culture in ancient Sumeria, Mesopotamia, Masham is this, it's described as this great mountain pass that once one is able to make it through this mountain pass, they can make it to the land behind the sun. But it is guarded by the Scorpion Kings. And one of the things that Gilgamesh has to do in this tablet in order to get that access that he needs through Masham, he actually has to go over the head of the Scorpion King, and he has to go to the Scorpion King's wife. Now, this is a pattern that's going to repeat itself quite a bit throughout the epic. We see Gilgamesh many times sort of dependent on the help of females in one way or another. When he actually makes it to the land behind the sun, for example, it is Utanapishtim's wife there who gives him aid as well. And also it goes back to one of those central themes of this epic, which is even though Gilgamesh seems very misogynistic, he seems to hate women, he doesn't think very highly of women, he's threatened by women. We just went through the great battle with the goddess Ishtar here and saw what happened there. Gilgamesh has had a very complicated relationship with the female sex. And what's going to happen, especially throughout these concluding tablets, is that many times we're going to see Gilgamesh sort of pitted against these very powerful women who not only assist him on his journey, but actually help him, we should say help him a few steps closer towards his goal of immortality. One of the questions that you'll have in your quiz will be on Sadurai. Gilgamesh meets Sadurai in Tablet 10, and she's described as a female tavern keeper, and I'm just reading from the text here, but a female tavern keeper who lives at the end of the earth. And Gilgamesh is in the land behind the sun. So he must travel to the ends of the earth in order to seek immortality. And he is on that journey, and he's made it through Masham, so that episode is behind him. But he makes it to Sadurai's tavern, and she gives him some interesting advice. And it definitely changes the course of his journey. Once he hears her advice, he continues to seek immortality, but it's like she opens a chink in his armor. She gets him to thinking about alternative ways of living that he's never really considered before. So here's the passage in question. I'm going to read this from the text. Sadurai says to Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh, wherefore do you wander? The eternal life you are seeking you shall not find. When the gods created mankind, they established death for mankind and withheld eternal life for themselves. As for you, Gilgamesh, let your stomach be full, always be happy night and day, make every day a delight, night and day play and dance. Your clothes should be clean, your head should be washed, you should bathe in water, look proudly on the little one holding your hand. Let your mate be always blissful in your loins. This then is the work of mankind. All right, so that is the advice that Sadurai gives Gilgamesh. And it's really, it's just a variant on the biblical phrase, right, of eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow is not promised to us. Or another variant of that phrase that I've heard, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. In other words, I think what she's trying to advise Gilgamesh is give up this foolish quest for immortality, which was never meant for us anyway. You're not going to be able to achieve that, and you are destroying the chance that you have to enjoy the life that you've been given. He's so obsessed with this idea of immortality, he can't slow down to enjoy the life that he actually has. And she says, basically, find a woman, Gilgamesh, take a wife, make a family. Just take some time to enjoy life. Does he listen to her? If he did, the story would probably be over at that point, right? So no, he doesn't quite listen. He does proceed on his journey. But again, I think her words from that point forward, there's a change within Gilgamesh. He doesn't see things quite the same way. And that's going to have some repercussions with things that happen a little bit later in the journey. Now, deliverance for Gilgamesh's quest does come in the form of the ferryman, Utanapishtim, also known as the Distant One, which is probably much easier to pronounce. My students always say, can I not just call him the Distant One? I say, yeah, I'm fine